So we are here. We are live. It looks like law enforcement is about to move in here. We have been reporting this all day and all night, and it looks like we do have law enforcement mobilized and ready to move in. This all happened fairly stealthily. We've been watching all night and we have not seen a large law enforcement presence. There has not been helicopters, there has not been cars, there's no sirens, and this is happening very quietly. We do have someone from the encampment talking to, this is LA Metro Police. Let's see, full line. They did say that all students will be allowed to leave if they identify themselves.
The officer on the scene is just saying that all students will be allowed to leave.
As you can see, they do have zip ties, they do have clubs.
Right there, zip ties, as you can see.
I'll give you a better look of what's going on down here. A full line of unmarked Suburbans, and then behind all of these are more police.
Let's go in. All news media, you need to go over to a safe spot over the corner, please.
They're asking news media to move. We're going to keep following this. Where? They want us to move over there. Okay. They're asking all news media to move. We're going to stay out of their way, but keep following this.
Was over there.
Do you want to take this? I want to give a little update. So, like we said, looks like LA Metro Police is here right now. There was someone from the encampment just talking to one of the officers there. They said that they will let students leave. They have to identify themselves and they will be allowed to leave. They are asking media to move. We're going to try to stay as close as we can to this. Police did have riot gear on. They're carrying zip ties. We do see police with clubs. Several unmarked Suburbans down the street. Again, this is happening right in front of Tommy Trojan. Encampment's right over there, so I'm going to continue to follow this. So they are asking media to move away. Obviously, we want to be up close and see what's happening here. There are more and more people assembling from what we saw today. That number of police likely outnumbers the people in the encampment. It's continuing to grow. Like we said, this was pretty stealthy. We didn't hear any sirens, any choppers. There's been no warnings yet. So it happened pretty quickly, but we've been anticipating that this may be happening for a while. They're starting to move in, I think, in a few minutes here. From the encampment, we can hear some whistles being blown, and they're starting to move in now. Okay, we're gonna get out of this way right now. Yes, there. Yes, there are legal observers here right now as well. Seems to be some students lingering around that are not a part of the encampment. And like we said, they are pushing press into one consolidated area. Move over that way. They're all
Are you the commanding officer tonight?
That was just one of the people from the encampment looking to talk to the commanding officer. Didn't seem like she got much of a response there, and it looks like she is monitoring the scene. Yes, all assembling right there. Looks like there's some movement at the encampment. We did hear earlier that there has been discussions of who's willing to stay and who has to leave and who's willing to stay and get arrested from the encampment. Lots of people there right now, lots of law enforcement there right now. So good potential of people getting arrested. Like I said, some movement. It's a little far away. It's a little dark right now, but we will see how many people stay and how many people are willing to get arrested, and if this will be similar to what we saw last Wednesday, where there was 93 people arrested, over 50 of whom were students. People have been here all day, all night. It was raining. People stuck out the rain. It's been a very calm evening. We are seeing more law enforcement come in right now. That does look like LAPD. We are seeing some vans come through. Last week, this is where they held people who were arrested in these types of vans. So that seems like they are preparing for arrest, and that is in that van is marked Los Angeles Police Department Custody Service Division. So this is LAPD. LAPD is on campus again. So it does look like there are at least 3 custody vans here pulling up and preparing. And it looks like 2 rows of 2 officers going all the way back for quite a long way down the way. Like we said, the officers are dressed in similar riot gear as to what we saw last Wednesday, with zip ties at their waist. They're wearing helmets with shields. They're carrying batons. And it looks like we are starting to get movement from the police officers. This seems to be a very similar movement pattern that we saw last week. We're going to continue to follow it, and we're getting sort of cut off by cars here. So we're going to go over back to the encampment. Start to see what's going on here. It looks like they're going behind the encampment, and they're going to access the encampment from the back, which is different than how they moved on Wednesday. Like we said, lots of police here, strong display of force. We do see them carrying less than lethal weapons as well. We're going to make our way around to the front of the encampment to see if we can catch what's going to happen. We're seeing a second round of officers coming in through the front, and there's more officers lined up back where they came from, many more. So it looks like they are coming in from both the back and the front of the encampment. As you can see, they are in riot gear. They do have less than lethal weapons with them, clubs. Now it does look like the protesters are in protest. Law enforcement is making their way around the Doheny Fountain. As you can see, protesters are seeming to leave their tents where they've been. It is past 4 in the morning, so I'm assuming many were asleep. They are leaving their tents and starting
It looks like police are forming a perimeter around the encampment all the way there by the building, right behind the encampment, which you cannot see right now.
So it does look like the police are forming, they're encircling the encampment. We see them on, almost all 4 sides of this encampment right now. They are asking press to leave and move to designated areas.
Right here is where we're operating. This is too close. So go. USC DPS has. This is their campus. And I talked to the community officer. Go. You need to go to USC DPS. No, they're not in LAPD. Sir, you've been advised. This is too close. You need to move. Go back to those hedges. Find USC DPS. They've identified something. They're over there. You need to go find them over there.
We're being asked to move. They're saying that.
Over there.
Okay. We can see many students are picking up their items and leaving, while some are staying. It seems to be a mix, but they are continuing to chant Free Palestine as they leave the encampment. Many are grabbing their things with them. As of right now, no strong altercation at all. Some students are leaving on their own. So like we said, LAPD has surrounded the encampment. Looks like more law enforcement is coming in now. Like we said, some people have left. Many people are still here. Some people have picked up their things and moved. Like we said, it does seem like the amount of law enforcement here outnumbers the actual number of protesters. We don't have an exact count, but there are a lot of law enforcement here. The protesters continue to chant as some gather their things. Like we said, multiple vans for people who may be arrested. It's still not clear what the plan is here. It seems to be that LAPD is just on standby right now as many protesters come out of their tents. Like we said, this is early in the morning, so people have been sleeping. We've been here all day and all night, and prior to this, the encampment was very quiet. It was just raining a few minutes ago, so the ground is wet, and it's been quiet. So this is a mid-morning event. Certainly people are just waking up, and now we're starting to see police move in to the encampment area. Many protesters still within the encampment. We're going to start kind of seeing what's going to happen here. Like we said earlier, when there was a representative from the encampment talking to one of the police officers, they did say that students would be allowed to go and non-students would be asked to leave. The students would be allowed to go if they were willing to disclose their name. However, there does seem to be quite a few vans to detain people if it comes to that. LAPD has moved in. They are lining up on the walkways within the encampment. People are still grabbing their things from their tents and leaving. Now we're seeing some police run over and start to come in from the other side of the encampment. Students continue to leave, though, however. And we have seen some outside media here. Associated Press was here. A few freelance journalists as well. So there is some outside media covering this, as well as Annenberg Media. We have been posting live updates on Instagram, on the Annenberg Media website, and here live on YouTube. As you can see, carrying their things out. Many people have been camped out here for over 10 days, so there's quite a bit of stuff here. They are being told they have 15 minutes to vacate, so the 15-minute warning has been given. They said if you do not vacate in 15 minutes, you will be subject to arrest. They've issued that warning. They have given a timestamp, so they have been told 15 minutes to vacate or they will be subject to arrest. So that was, it seems like, the first announcement. It's coming from one side of the encampment, and many students are leaving. They are leaving on their own accord. So officers just giving notes on how to best issue this dispersal warning. It seems like that first dispersal warning was not to another officer's liking. It seems like they need to be more explicit.
Okay, there's a press area right over there that's going to give you a good view. I can't have you guys hang out right here, okay? If you can just move over to that area, I greatly appreciate it, okay? I'm sorry?
We're trying to talk to the information officers so that we can work out the need of the area.
If you go over to the media area, there should be somebody there for you.
Nobody's over there, and it's too far away. Under Crespo, there needs to be a media viewer.
Again, we were just told we need to leave. We are trying to talk to the officers because we want to be able to see this and witness what is happening here.
Go over there and I'll make sure somebody responds responsibly, okay?
I'm sorry. It took me 30 more seconds, okay? And under Crespo, there needs to be a
I understand Crespo very well.
And so it needs to be set up in advance with the information officer.
And it is. It's right over there.
In consultation with the media.
Right.
And they like talk to us before we front down. I've been trying to
that.
talk, when you guys arrived, I tried to talk to somebody that was trying to get arrest. I'm trying to resolve this.
Again, some conversation happening with the officers about where we are allowed to report from.
Almost half of the members in the encampment have left the encampment.
Hey, do me a favor. Okay, guys? Don't let anybody walk through those runs, okay?
So LAPD is closing off the exits here, preventing students from walking through the shrubs. We are being asked to move, and it looks like we are going to move to comply with the officer's ask. We're going to try to continue to keep an eye on this, but they are asking us to move further away. Like we said, they did issue the dispersal warning. They said 15 minutes, or else you will be subject to arrest. Still a pretty force here. More moving in now, it seems. There still are protesters continuing to assemble, continuing to chat, keep the beat. Like we said, we are being asked to move.
They want us to move to a distance too far away.
Yeah.
Say that?
Yeah, they like we said, they've been asking us to move. We are trying to continue to show what is happening here. You can see the officers surrounding Alumni Park. There's also a large group of officers behind us as well. So more force. Like we said, many students choosing to leave on their own. Choosing to leave with all of their things. Again, we're being told to move. So it does seem like we're not really going to be able to see this, which seems like an issue. Like we said, many more officers lined up, ready to move in. The police helicopter it looks like a police helicopter again overhead. Again, we've been moved very far away from the action, which makes it very difficult to see what is happening inside of the encampment, which is unfortunate and seems like
Who is this?
I don't know.
We have administration here.
We have USC administration here, or at least the communications department for the university, speaking with the faculty member.
Seems to be some negotiations trying to happen here between communications and a representative from Annenberg Media.
As you can see, yeah,
Wasn't involved. As you are to get involved here.
yeah. Well, I think it has to be DPS.
No, DPS is not DPS. Crespo is what governs
Well, because it's private property, they're technically like an assistant agency. Anyway, I think you'll end up getting access.
I don't know what's going to happen. I need to talk to somebody. We need this department to follow what the law is. And they're not doing it.
We'll try to talk to somebody. We'll try to talk to somebody.
They're breaking the law.
Yeah.
Who are you? What's your name? Are you at USC? Can we ask for your title? Yeah. Can we get your name?
We are trying to get some information on who we were just trying to negotiate with to get press access. Seems like we are being limited access. We are getting a bit closer. Like we said, many students leaving on their own. LAPD surrounding the encampment.
Ma'am, are you press? There's a press area down there. There you go. There is a press area. It's down there, please. Press area is down there, please. Thank you very much.
How are we able to see what's happening if we're down there?
I don't know. I didn't make the press area, ma'am. You can speak with the PIO
But-
at the press area. It's down there.
Who are they?
Down there at the press area, ma'am. From DPS.
Who is it?
There's no.
Go down there. They will identify themselves.
So again, we're getting pretty iced out here. So there are a few, more than a few, there are still protesters within the encampment. But they gave them a 15-minute dispersal warning, and many people have left. They asked them to take their things with them, and many students are complying, taking. We are getting. What? We are being instructed to move again, quite forcefully. They've started to pull down the signs and the banners from the outside of the encampment. They're now on the ground. As you can hear, the chopper is overhead.
What Alan just said? Ask him to repeat it right there.
Alan, can you repeat for us what the protocol is with being told to move?
Under a decision that LAPD must follow, this thing is called a Crespo Media Viewing Area, which is worked out with an information officer for the department who's designated before they begin an event like this with media representatives to find an area that allows the media to observe and to hear what goes on. And it has to be close enough so that they can see the interaction of officers with the people that they're confronting.
Go down this way, okay?
Thank you.
Are you the information officer? Are you the information officer?
No, I am not. We're just asking you guys to head down there for me, okay?
Okay, we're press and we're trying to be able to see what's going on here.
I get you. Just down to that area right down there.
Okay. They're telling us to come over here.
Media is now huddled here.
Yes, we're getting conflicting information on where media can go. We are now kind of being held. There are officers on both sides of us now. They were just telling us to go this way, and you guys are telling us to go this way. From what we can see, the encampment looks to be pretty cleared out outside of where it was in Alumni Park. There are still protesters in front of the encampment, keeping the beat. Officers are surrounding them. And these look to be the people that may be willing to be arrested. But we will see. People still chanting proudly, loudly at 4:40 in the morning on day 12.
Of the Trojan community.
We did just receive a Trojan alert 1 minute ago saying DPS with the assistance of LAPD is clearing the center of UPC.
We're telling us
Okay, we're more law enforcement is coming in. Again, they're continuing to tell us we must go to Bovard. Although we were just told to move that way. So we are getting conflicting information. There's been no clear communication about what exactly is happening with press.
They're currently pushing us back.
When we move backwards, even there is a law in California that allows for press members to be set up as a perimeter, which is in line after where we're able to see what's going on. However,
there's no officers here.
moving us backwards right now.
Over to the auditorium. Beyond these officers. So we're going to keep moving.
But this is Bovard. You told us to be at
We're
Bovard.
going to keep moving past these officers.
So we can't get out the way of the officers?
No.
It was not over anymore.
No.
Over there.
I'm telling you, keep walking that way.
Just trying to be clear, sir. That's all.
We're not going this way. We're going this way.
Officer, I just have a question. You said Bovard Auditorium. This is
I never said a street. I'm telling you, I'm guiding
It's not a
you
street,
the
that's a building.
direction
On the
we're
other
going. So this is your last Come on. chance. Ma'am, we don't want to take your job.
I'm
Just that way, please.
members of the press are told to go to that
You're
Bovard.
playing games, no more.
we're not
The members of the press are being moved all towards the back. With eyes or no view on what is going on. Initially, we were told that
So we are being completely moved away from what is happening. We have no eyes on what is happening.
towards the back of the line. As you can see right now, there's over dozens of dozens. And we're also being reported back now.
Over here to the right. Over here to the right.
Is this?
Hey, this is the phone off area. This is all yours.
So as you guys can see, what's happening is all the way over there. We've been relocated to Tommy Trojan, and this is where we are supposed to be observing what is happening from. This is a designated press area, which is about as far as you could get from what's happening.
This way, guys. Media. Media this way.
The media is not as far as it was.
So, as you guys can see, we are moving all the way behind these black fences. We are moving to the back of Boulevard where we were trying to go to. That's where they originally told us. And we are very far away from what is happening. We cannot see anything at all. If just take a look and see, that's how far everything is happening. And this is where we are meant to be viewing things from.
The media has no eyes or access to the encampment. But essentially being told
Yeah, he's going to be with Chief Carlisle.
gated area on Founders
They're
Park.
both together. They're going to come and meet. All meet in here.
Are you DPS or LAPD?
I'm DPS.
You're very accomplished. Let me point something out. LAPD, when they do events like this, need to consult the media and set up a media viewing area under Crespo. It's called the Crespo. And right now, this department, believe it or not your department, the LAPD is in violation of the law.
They set it up for this area.
No, but they can't do that. And they need, even before they begin the event, they need to designate an information.
What is happening here is we are trying to figure out why we cannot see anything, but while that is happening, there is stuff happening over here on the other side of campus that we cannot see. We have no eyes on it over there. We are trying to show you what is happening, but we are being restricted by LAPD. This officer right here is with DPS, so this is a mix of DPS and LAPD. We unfortunately cannot get a clear view of what is happening. But there are protesters still going strong outside right now. They are moving in on them. It is a much smaller group than what started, so people did pick up their items and move out of the encampment after that warning. But there are a few that are still standing strong and waiting here. Again, no answers on why press is being restricted. This feels like, like we are not really able to give you the access we were hoping for, or that we should have. I do see more officers moving into Alumni Park, where the encampment has been. LAPD is still overhead, and there are still many officers just waiting on standby. It looks like the administration is coming back that we were speaking with earlier. Again, we were not able to get an ID on them.
Again, the media has been towards this very corner where we have no access to anything.
So now the protesters that are remaining, we are seeing some outside media.
Any views of the encampment, or at least hundreds.
Still several protesters right there at the front. This is looks like DPS.
The Department of Public Safety also seems to be on Truesdale Park, making their way towards the inside of the encampment.
Encircling the
So it looks like this is DPS here, and it looks like they're making their way again around Truesdale in front of Alumni Park.
Officers scattered around
Yeah.
the encampment, which is now moved outside.
They are surrounding the rest of the encampment where the barricade was built. We're not sure if there are people in the encampment, if there are anyone behind the barricade. We do have a few more protesters over here at the front of Alumni Park. Again, like we said, some DPS, some LAPD. It's so dark, it is hard to distinguish between the two, but we have seen representatives from both agencies.
Formed closer towards the tent.
Looks like, again, a smaller group of protesters are still over there. We have all of this law enforcement on standby. From our perspective, we have yet to see anyone be arrested. But again, we've had such limited visibility. It's unclear what was happening towards the other side of campus. But like we said, we do see a few protesters still here. They are surrounded, holding some signs, playing drums. Okay, they're continuing to move in. We're starting to see them move in now. And it seems to be pushing out. They seem to be pushing out the remaining protesters, moving down this way. There's one protester kind of making his way down this way. There is a group. Seems to be pushing them down Truesdale.
I think he broke the truck. That's evidence.
I'm press. I'm a student journalist with Annenberg Media.
Okay, are you student journalists?
Yeah, my friends are in there.
Are you getting a credential? You get a credential?
I have my press pass.
You didn't tell me that before, but you said that. I asked you before if you had a reason for being here.
Sorry?
You didn't mention it before. That you're a student journalist.
No, I'm not a student journalist. No, I'm here filming.
I just asked you if you were a student journalist. You said yes.
Are you with administration? Okay.
I just want to make. We just don't want anybody who's not supposed to be in here to be in here.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. If you're student
Is
journalist,
campus totally closed now?
yeah, we're supposed to be locking it down. So
Okay.
Why we can't get closer, like as press, like that's.
because I think they're basically locking everything down. So they're moving everybody out. So probably the idea here is in the next few minutes, this is all going to be cleared.
It's also going to be closed off to the press?
I think there's going to be some movement this way.
Okay. And
Do you have a contact with the University of Communications?
we have been going back and forth with them, and we do have.
They'll have all the answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I
And
appreciate you wearing your
of course. And what was your name?
Mark Manley.
Mark Manley. Thank you for the information. Appreciate it.
What's your name?
Sorry, I'm big.
Okay, let's talk.
So, some administration is here, some people from communications. Like we said, they're starting to move people down. It looks to be movement coming back this way. We're seeing more officers move in here. We said we're seeing officers continue to move down Truesdale. LAPD is still overhead. Again, they seem to have pushed everyone down that way. We know we are having some limited movement, so we don't want to push it too far. But more officers seem to be moving in.
It's funny how in LA.
Well, they are all the way down there. We are not going to be able to get that way. Like we said, here is what remains of the encampment. Officers are moving around the encampment, more officers moving in. We don't know if there's anyone still in the tents. We don't know. Like we said, this happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's now 5. This has lasted about an hour. And we don't know who's in there. Everyone came out who was already there. People stayed in. But this happened in the middle of the night, early morning, so people very well may have been sleeping. However, I do believe that from people we spoke with today, they were prepared for a potential, run-in with law enforcement tonight. Again, protesters that remained moved down to the entrance of campus, and lots of law enforcement in Alumni Park.
No, I'm scared.
Okay.
I don't want to.
And we're not
hearing screams.
What we're seeing down there is that LAPD has moved towards those fences at the end of Truesdale. We are not going to go down that way because we have been told not to, and we want to make sure that all of our reporters stay safe because it does not seem like we have been given freedom of movement here tonight. But as you can see, even this far away, that is law enforcement down there. That is a lot of people. And all of the remaining protesters, I don't have a count on how many people remained at the end here, continuing to sing and play the drums. We don't have a count on that, but that was a lot of law enforcement to move what seemed to be maybe a few straggling reporters left. But back to over here. So this is where there seems to be quite a big concentration of law enforcement. We have our Annenberg Media reporters on the ground here. We are trying to get a grasp of what actually happened because we did have such limited visibility into what was happening.
They hear.
We have unconfirmed reports of rubber bullets.
So, like we said, lots of law enforcement here. This was where the encampment was when we saw people moving out today. Many people did take things with them. We saw people bringing their tents with them, arms full of blankets and things like that. But we don't know if anyone's left behind the barricades. Again, not sure if people all moved out and if this is empty. And if it is empty, we're not sure why officers are still here. Again, not very clear. Just trying to keep an eye on what's happening here. It's unclear if there's even anyone over there. Any students, any protesters. We're not really seeing much movement at all.
We can't see from our vantage point.
We cannot see from our vantage point. So unclear what is happening here right now.
Oh, they're. I have Malcolm's number. Honestly, I would run. That's scary. If I were you, I'd go at a distance, see if you can see him, and then if they do anything to him, try and not be.
So we are keeping you guys updated. Like we said, this started around 4 o'clock this morning. We were not sure if this was going to happen tonight. Annenberg Media has been here all day, all night, in the rain, in the cold. You know, we were unsure if this was going to be something that happened in the middle of the night, if there was going to be any warning. Like we said at the beginning of this was a very stealthy move-in. Just not too long ago, the choppers came in. There was not helicopters here before. So it was definitely a pretty quiet move-in. We were hearing chatters around campus, just kind of keeping an eye on things. But when it did happen, it happened quickly and it happened quietly. Still quite a strong presence on campus. Multiple vehicles blocking exits and entrances to campus. You can see just how kind of eerie it is right now, especially after the rainfall. The ground is wet. The ground here is wet where people were trying to grab their things and get out. Still quite a large presence. Like we said, we really can't see what's happening from. We are unsure if there are protesters still inside of the encampment behind barricades. But throughout this whole evening, we have had limited access, and we've been pushed away from where things were happening. So we do not have confirmation of arrests or anything beyond what we've been able to show you on the Annenberg Media live streams and website. We did see officers pulling down signs, taking down some of the banners that had been here. You can kind of see that what was up earlier, there is still quite a bit of signage over here on this side of the park, but everything here is now gone. And it looks like the officers are just at a standstill. What I can see from here is it seems like the officers are going into the encampment and checking the tents one by one. We see some flashlights. Not sure if you can see that. Perhaps checking for people, checking for things that may have been left behind. But officers are going in there right now. And it seems like the other officers may be just holding the perimeter. A very large group here. So again, we are in the early mornings of what was day 13 of the Solidarity encampment that started a week ago on Wednesday. On that first day of the encampment, there were 93 arrests. So far tonight, we cannot confirm if there have been any more arrests, but again, we saw a fairly strong display of force coming into campus, and it looks like they are mobilizing and moving again. More officers moving back from where they were, crossing this way. Not sure where they are going. Again, we see officers. Some have zip ties. Some do not have any more zip ties, or don't have any at all. Again, this looks to be DPS. So it looks like they're also going to go in and kind of hold the perimeter around the encampment as we see officers searching tents inside the encampment. So again, we have some more of those officers moving back right now who did seem to push all those remaining protesters out. just to give you a sense of the amount of law enforcement that was brought in. Just to give you a sense of the amount of law enforcement on campus tonight. Like we said a few times, officers moved in at about 4 o'clock this morning. So in the wee hours of the morning, many of the protesters were sleeping in their tents. But as they started to hear and see law enforcement come in, we heard some whistles and we heard people starting to get up. But a very quick and quiet move in. Like we said, they pushed press out, so we were not able to see what was happening up close. We definitely were trying. But as of right now, we have this group here, and we have a pretty large group still remaining around Alumni Park over here. And for those of you just joining us and told that they had 15 minutes to leave the encampment or they risked being arrested, at that point, we saw many protesters pick up their things and walk out. We don't know where they were escorted to or if there was anything that happened after they left, but we did see many pick up their things and leave. However, there was a core group of protesters that continued to keep the beat on the drum, to chant and kind of hold their ground as law enforcement moved in. As you can see, it's quite dark out, so it's been hard to distinguish between who is LAPD and who is DPS, but we have seen both tonight. You can see kind of the remnants of what was here. Yes, they're definitely looking through the encampment, looking through the tents.
Press, stop. Guys, back up. Press, stop, back up.
Again, we're being kind of told to move back. So we don't get our shoes wet?
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked us to move back so we don't get our shoes wet. Just so they know, my shoes are already wet. So that is not the concern right now. So just about an hour ago, all of this was still kind of flanked with signs and banners. Not anymore. So I'm not sure if you can see over here, but still multiple SUVs blocking the entrance/exit here. They put up some caution tape here as well, kind of restricting access. Multiple detention vans over there, more officers on the perimeter, and we are seeing officers kind of move out now.
They can't confirm if there have been any arrests made.
And we did ask, and they said they were unable to confirm if there were any arrests made.
There hasn't been any communication of that.
We have not been able to get clear communication from any of the law enforcement on arrests or anything like that. Officers now again surrounding Alumni Park, continuing to be told here to back up. So like we said, this seems to be a mix of LAPD and DPS. Are you able to confirm any arrests? Nope. So, like we said, it looks like there are officers inspecting the tents back there, but again, we are very far away. Press has been pushed to the outside the perimeter of Alumni Park. But from what we can see, we see some flashlights. We see officers kind of looking around in the area behind the barricade that was built. Sir, are you able to confirm any arrests tonight? No comment. This is actually the closest we've been able to get yet tonight. We still have a chopper hovering overhead, and we have law enforcement surrounding Alumni Park. These officers don't seem to have any zip ties. We did see some officers come in with zip ties and less than lethal weapons. Just to give you another view. So this was the site of the pro-Palestinian solidarity encampment. It was here for almost 13 days. We were in the morning of the 13th day as law enforcement came in around 4 a.m. and started to push the protesters out. We did hear earlier today that there was conversations amongst the organizers and those in the encampment about who was willing to get arrested. We did hear an officer give a warning to the protesters saying that they had 15 minutes to clear out or they would risk arrest. We also did hear a liaison from the group speaking with an officer before they moved in. The officer said that they would give students a chance to leave. Again, we are unable to confirm if anyone was arrested. Press was moved quite far away. And we did just receive a alert from a Trojan alert saying that Truesdale has that center of campus has been closed, and if you are on campus that you should leave. We are the press, so we are going to continue to see this out. But as you just saw, if you've been watching the stream, the protesters have been pushed out of Alumni Park. And again, we don't have an exact count on the number of protesters that were here or the number of police that are here, but it does seem to appear that law enforcement outnumbered protesters. We've been here all day. It has not been a huge group of people, but for day 13 of the encampment, there was a fairly strong number of protesters still holding strong. We do see them breaking down some of the remnants of the encampment. That looked like it was a pop-up tent. I think that was where the protesters would have food for their team. We spoke with a liaison just this week who said that they make a point to feed their people 3 times a day. That tent right there was where they were feeding people. We saw it happen earlier today. Again, a mix of LAPD and DPS. Just move down here. Looks like some officers are moving out. Like we said, we did not think there were any people left in those tents. Doesn't seem like they've pulled anyone out of the tents. Just items and starting to break it down and starting to clear this.
They're making a line this way.
They're making a line this way. We're not quite sure what's going on here. Looks like we are somewhat being corralled right now. It's not sure. More law enforcement coming in. It is jarring to see this much law enforcement on campus again. I think no one wanted this to happen again. But from what we see, wasn't 93 arrests, which was what happened on the first day of the encampment on Wednesday. But again, very strong display of force. It looks like they are planning to mobilize out, but we are not sure where they are planning on going. Still quite a few officers around the park. Okay, they are coming through and it looks like they're planning to move out now. Chopper is still there, so if you are somewhere near campus and you are hearing a chopper, it is an LAPD chopper right near Alumni Park. So these are kind of the officers that are remaining here. Many officers still in Alumni Park. Yes, we again have no information on any injuries, any arrests, any altercations with law enforcement. We do know that when the officers moved into Alumni Park behind the barricades, they started dismantling the remaining tents. Like we said, many students did pick up their own things and leave when they were told to. But lots of law enforcement still remaining, unclear where the students that were here went. We didn't see what happened to them when they were moved down. We were not allowed to go and see that, so unclear where they went, and no confirmation of any of those protesters that remained were arrested. We did see a few people from administration here earlier tonight. Many that I think are still here. Some reluctant to give their names, so we're not sure who they were or where they came from, but they certainly were observing what was happening. Big group still back there. Looks to be another group mobilizing here on their way out. Look to be moving out now. So it looks like that group that just left was some officers from DPS, and that these officers, many of these on the perimeter here, are LAPD. Like we said, you know, varying levels of weapons with them. You saw those DPS officers did have zip ties. Still unclear what happened to the students when they were moved away from Alumni Park. It is early morning here. The sun is about to come up. It is Sunday morning. Like we said, this was day 13 of the encampment. Very long, cold night here. And there were protesters here until law enforcement came in, holding their ground. And then when there was an announcement from law enforcement that they had 15 minutes to leave, some people chose to leave and pick up their things and start to clear out. We did get a notification that the center of campus is shut down, and for anyone on campus to leave.
Giving them an appropriate warning with 15 minutes notice. If not, they would be arrested for trespassing.
Saturday.
Since then, almost everyone has cleared out. There are no protesters on Truesdale Park. However, we still have some protesters.
So we do see many of the remaining officers starting to move out. Like we said, when it's dark, it's hard to distinguish between LAPD and DPS. But we're pretty sure that these officers on the perimeter here, those look to be LAPD, and these officers here with the zip ties are DPS. So I'm sure there was a distinction of their roles. It seemed like DPS was the group dealing with the protesters directly. That is not confirmed, but they do have the zip ties as if they were the ones to make arrests if they happen. Again, no confirmation of any arrests because press was pushed away into a very small, distant part of this part of campus near Bovard when all the protesters, as you know, were in Alumni Park. So we did not really get a clear view on what was happening.
Different departments have signed a letter demanding that the university condemn the actions of having law enforcement on campus. It seems like right now there's a lot of movement of officers leaving Alumni Park. It does not look like any arrests were made, and they seem to be leaving.
Officers have seemed to leave the park, moving out now. Again, no word on what happened to those protesters.
Guys, do not leave until you get bumped out. Do not leave until you get bumped out. Wait. Lieutenant, sir, we're selling. Sir.
From DPS.
Seems to be a bit of confusion as to what the next step is, but
Officers,
like we said, there are no protesters remaining in Alumni Park. We did see some tents and some pop-ups being broken down. There's still quite a bit of the barricade remaining, but we have not seen any more protesters. So when they did go into the barricade, it seems to be empty. And they were just checking tents. But we are seeing law enforcement move out now. Again, just to give you a sense of the scale of what happened here tonight. This looks like LAPD here. Another set here. This looks like to be one of the last groups coming through. Again, this started at just after 4 a.m. on Sunday morning. Very quiet on campus. And then this amount of law enforcement made their way into campus in the middle of the night. Protesters, some were still kind of monitoring the perimeter. Many were in the tents behind the barricades. But again, this has been about an hour and a half operation to clear out the Solidarity encampment. We are seeing officers move out now, and it looks like they are close to done for the evening. Okay. Again. So we have officers moving out one way on Truesdale. We have another group that are kind of stationed facing the other direction towards the front of campus. Still officers on the perimeter here. Again, if you're just joining us, no confirmation on any arrests. We did have limited view of what was happening. We were not able to get any confirmation from law enforcement. It seems like they were prepared for arrests, but we didn't see any of that happen. We saw protesters get moved down this way and taken out that side of campus. We're not sure what happened after that. As you can see, the remnants of the encampment are still there. It'll be interesting to see how quickly there's movement to clean this up, and for administration to reclaim Alumni Park. But again, very large display of combined force between LAPD and DPS, who came into campus in the early morning this Sunday. Okay, looks like they're moving out now.
Again, you came on at 4 a.m. and said that you would have an officer for us.
As you can see, the sun is starting to rise. We have been here all night, and this all started at 4 a.m. when most people were asleep, and it lasted about an hour and a half. Law enforcement did move in pretty quickly and pretty quietly. There was not a lot of signs that law enforcement was here until they were here in full force. There was a chopper overhead for a little bit, but that didn't come until later in the day. As you can see, it is morning. It is Sunday morning, less than a week before graduation. And now we are being held here in this sort of meridian, and they're telling us we are not allowed to cross.
All right, right there. Now let's cover down. We have to spread it out. We have to spread out. DPS, spread out. Spread out.
Officer
Spread out.
giving instructions to other officers on the phone that they need to spread out around Alumni Park. Some of them are still in, most of them are still more scared. Some of them have guns with rubber bullets.
It has been a huge collective effort between Annenberg Media reporters. Daily Trojan has been here as well all night. We have been live on Instagram, on YouTube, doing live updates on Annenberg Media's website. A really big push by a student reporter team to capture what was happening here. And there's been very little outside media allowed in, so doing this in the middle of the night definitely limited visibility to what was happening, but we tried to capture as much as we could.
Trying to figure out details of what happened.
Looks to be some administration here talking with police.
Never mind.
Still quite a bit of law enforcement here. Like we said, the encampment has been completely abandoned. There's no one left here. There are still remnants of the barricade. There's signs where there once was tents and things like that. Some of those look to be broken down. We did see law enforcement go into the encampment behind the barricade and look through tents, or it seemed to look that way. We saw flashlights. This all happened when it was still dark. Now the sun is starting to come out. So we had better visibility, but this was all happening under darkness, and Annenberg Media was quite far away from what was happening.
I need a wide shot that way too. Okay, perfect. No, like around, that one, perfect. And then grab the pole out. If you could loosen the strap, the top strap. No, the strap. Oh wait, no, yeah. No, you're good. Hold on to that. That's do you something to use it?
Majority of Department of Public Safety officers are right here where you see them now. Some of them are still scattered around Alumni Park.
This looks to be a pretty large group of
Most of these
DPS.
officers were present on Wednesday.
Looks like LAPD has cleared out. Now that the sun is coming up a bit, you can get a better view of that encampment. Again, still waiting on confirmation of arrests, of what happened to protesters that left voluntarily. We don't have that information just yet. We are trying to get updates, but nothing has been provided to us from either LAPD or DPS.
Sunrise, and we still have not yet heard from a Department of Public Safety information officer.
But it was exposed.
So, like we said, seems to be, now we're just waiting. We should just,
My lawyer says LAPD should know better. Crespo Media Viewing Area. Come on, people.
yes, we did not have very clear communication on where we could actually view this from as press. But there is still DPS, a large show of force from DPS on campus. It looks like they are just figuring out how they're going to be exiting campus. We are sort of corralled here in the Meridian. This is everyone who has witnessed everything tonight. Just to kind of show you who is left here. They are telling us we are not allowed to cross. They may let us go out this way, but again, very limited entrance and exits from campus. But as we continue to just wait to be let go, we are going to sign off here. Like we said, encampment is closed down. Thanks for tuning in.